Recently, yeah.
I think it would be. I'd rather see that battle over any of them.
Yeah, we keep it real over here, man. The Hip Hop Uncensored podcast, Uncensored Hip Hop. So we just gotta, we ain't no fanboys, nobody over here because somebody shouted us out. We keep giving our opinion 100%. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Appreciate the work. Appreciate
yeah.
You know what I mean? The body of work you put in. Always will show respect to that. But we're gonna have different opinions, man. You gotta live with it.
Definitely. But speaking of two people, SamAnt, who had differences of opinions, you were telling me about Freeway Ricky Ross, the real Freeway Ricky Ross. He sat down and he did an interview and he went in on Rick Ross, man. Crazy.
Yeah, he was on Fox Soul. They've been getting a lot of people lately. That and obviously Freeway Rick Ross is one of the biggest drug dealers of all time. Did his time, came out, became an advocate, became an author, also became a person, one would say, of identity theft because
victim. Yeah.
Freeway Rick Ross would not be known as big as he is without Ricky Rozay, Rick Ross. Now, if you don't know anything about Freeway Rick Ross and you were first introduced to the name in hip hop, one would think that was Rick Ross's name and not Freeway Rick Ross's name. No, they've been through court, they've been through legal battles and things like that. They spoke on it before, both of them. Freeway recently sat down and talked about it, brought up some interesting dialogue, and I wanted to talk about it. So let's hear him first and get to it.
Yes, sir.
Feel about having other people calling themselves the same name as yours?
That's like a double-edged sword, right? You kind of feel flattered, that somebody thought enough of you to name themselves after you. And then I was in prison when I first heard, so it was kind of disrespectful because I said, well, you know what? He could have reached out and asked me, was it okay to do that? And by that not happening, I'm good with it though.
You hollered at it?
Yeah, we hollered.
Yeah.
And
in a good way?
Yeah, it was just a friendly conversation. Okay. I was like, hey, you need to come to the prison, so we could really talk, because I was on the telephones, and the phones are recorded. So I didn't want everybody to know what we was talking about, especially not the prison officials.
Right.
And we had made arrangements. He was supposed to come down to the prison and visit me so that we could talk business.
Did he come?
He never came. He changed his number.
Oh, wow. Right? Sounds like he was scared.
I don't know what happened, but, it didn't go the way I thought it should have went.
Yeah. Okay. That's very disrespectful.
But I'm good with it, though, now.
Yeah.
That was
20 years ago?
Not that old.
10 years
Not that long. About 12, 13 years ago.
Right. So it's squashed now. So it's all good.
Not squashed, but, it's not important.
Okay.
Right. It's not something that I think about. I don't talk about it unless somebody brings it up.
Okay.
I got so many other things going on right now, so many other things of importance at this particular time that who took my name is, it's 4 guys that uses my name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been 4 rappers to adopt my name in some form.
4 rappers? Who was that?
Well, we got Freeway from Philly, which is my man.
Okay.
And then we got Freeway Rich from Kansas City,
all right.
Who in his own rights have gained some stardom. And we got the Freeway Boys from Cincinnati, who also use it.
But there's only the one that has the Rick Ross.
Well, Rick Ross used my whole name, and he probably gained the most stardom out of everybody, even though Freeway had gotten pretty big when he was with Jay-Z. I think he had sold like 500,000 copies. He went gold. But, with him, it's a different element to it. He wrote me and was like, hey, man, I love you, that's why I chose your name. And then the other guy, he goes around and tell people he never heard of me.
Right.
Wow. He was playing football and somebody tackled him. I know he was an offensive guard.
Right.
Something happened on the football field and somebody accidentally was trying to call him Big Boss and called him Rick Ross. So when you hear those type of stories, it just kind of make you feel like, what's with this guy? Why can't this guy just come out and say,
be honest.
What I am and what I do. And then the way he raps too, he raps about selling drugs.
Right.
And he never sold drugs. He was a correctional officer, had a credit card in high school.
It's ironic.
Comes from one of those great backgrounds, went to college and played like he couldn't read and write. I'm like, why do you make mockery of the stuff that normal people go through? It's almost like making mockery.
It is like
All right, I'll stop it right there, man. Great interview, great dialogue. The woman was beautiful, by the way, on the Donnie show. Goodness gracious. But listen, man, he said some interesting things. He talked on Freeway, which I honestly didn't even know that they correlated. It wasn't until Freeway Rick Ross came out that it was kind of like, oh, okay, you took homeboy stuff. Before I go in, man, what do you think about that?
Well, back, a few years back, 2014, he actually tried to sue Rick Ross. He lost that case for $10 million, for stealing his persona and whatnot. They eventually, threw it out. But I have to agree with Freeway, Ricky Ross, man. You just got to look at it like, if you built this name for yourself, regardless of what you did, somebody just takes your whole, thing and profits millions of dollars off that, obviously you're going to want some type of compensation for it. And then it's like, when I never knew this part, but it blew my mind when he said that he reached out to Rick Ross. Rick Ross supposed to come meet with him, and he changed his number. It's almost like F you, you know what I mean? And then, him not owning up to it, then I remember, because we used to do the throwback game heavy. I'm having a video up where Rick Ross was talking about, they asked him, was he correctional officer? And he lied about it, and he came clean. So definitely some credibility issues with Rick Ross back then. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it affects anything that he has going on right now. He says that he really sold drugs. Freeway Ricky Ross said he never sold drugs. I don't know, but definitely from what I'm hearing and some of the facts that I know, I always kind of thought that, but I kind of just, it was so long ago, you just move forward and just, we know a lot of it's entertainment anyway, but beats and stuff is good and whatnot. But Freeway Ricky Ross is 100% balls accurate, as they say with this one. I agree.
I listened to a lot of his dialogue in regards to this this particular topic in Rick Ross taking his name, and I knew about the conversation of him calling him and reaching out and him changing the number. I heard that before, but what I didn't know is that it was while he was in prison that he found out and took offense to it, because you got to think in a situation, you sitting in prison for God knows how long, then all of a sudden this dude takes your name, doesn't say anything to you, begins taking money that you could possibly be using toward books, toward commissary, toward your family, whatever. And he can't even offer a conversation after promising you he would. Then he changes it up on some shady stuff.
That's shady.
Very shady. And then it kind of reminded me, oh God, of checking in. We was talking about checking in a couple of days ago. And the respect factor, the whole thing. Now, Freeway, he said Freeway took my name, but it was out of homage. He wrote me a letter saying how much he admired me and how much he respected me. And this is why he took it. He took it out of homage. A brother sitting behind bars could respect something like that, seeing that, and then kind of gaining some fame and throwing homage to it.
Essentially, yeah.
Checked in.
Right.
I'm sure the other brothers in Kansas City and Cincinnati did the same. It was Rick Ross rubbing him the wrong way and doing that kind of threw a disdain in his mouth. And once he got out of jail and got free and was like, no, we're going to take legal action. And then it's just real dirty when you look at it, man. And I think that's is why, because I think both of us will agree, I don't think there's been a Rick Ross album that top to bottom, you won't look at it and give it A- B grade. I don't think he's anything less. I think
people don't think it's real though.
But they don't think it's genuine. And this is why he's not in the greatest rapper of all time in a decade conversation. And when you talk about greatest rappers of what our generation, he ain't never in it. I think that this is a gift and a curse. Yeah, you took a brother's name and you got famous from it, but you'll never be one of the greats because of it, my opinion.
In my opinion, what I think happened, I don't know this to be true, is that once he got sued for that 10 million, he made up that whole story about them calling him Big Boss, and they slipped up and called him Rick Ross.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. That
exactly.
was crazy too.
I'm sure him and his lawyer concocted that for him, to make it out. He ended up getting off on like some type of constitutional technicality or something, being able to use certain things like that. But you should have paid homage in some way, whether it be because this is this person's image persona. You took it and you got rich with it. But again, the courts decided against that. And I'm glad that he continues to speak out about it, because obviously it's been over the years. He reiterated it. The host on there asked him about that. And definitely questionable, man. A lot of stuff in this hip hop game is questionable. And I would go out to say it's more rappers that are fake and rap about stuff that they never did. We definitely understand that, man. But, I think somebody like Rick Ross, if indeed all that stuff that Freeway Ricky Ross is saying about Rick Ross is true, is a real shady character from what it appears to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a fact, man. And when you said like we got to question hip hop, it made me think of another story that I want to throw in here real quick.
Yeah,
it was from our man Pete Rock. But before I do that, let me finish out by saying, yeah, man, Rick Ross, I think he definitely owes that brother an explanation. At first, when I saw the headline, I'm like, damn, it's been a long time. You still we're still harping on this. Like, I wish you would have moved on, with all due respect, Mr. Ross. But I'm glad that he started out by, look, it was a question. I've moved on from this. He answered my question in that. Yeah. I'm past this. I wish people would talk about the other great things. Hopefully you see this and we get the opportunity to do so in the near future, because I would love to hear it. But it is still good to hear dialogue and hear why, because there's a younger generation that goes and sees Rick Ross and sees this and sees that and doesn't know that certain things need to be discussed. This brother took somebody's identity.
Do you take him serious now, knowing more of this information? You take Rick Ross serious?
I respect Rick Ross as a rapper, entertainer,
more of a businessman. Yeah, definitely.
And as a businessman, a black man out here doing this thing 100%. But I always would put an asterisk next to his name when it comes to greatest rapper, because William Roberts is not Freeway Rick Ross. And to give him the excuse you did, ignore his calls, go about it in a way that I can't perceive to be honorable, a way that anytime I've ever heard you speak, anytime giving an interview, you don't seem like the type of brother that would have a conversation with a man and then turn your phone off and switch your number, and don't seem like those kind of things. So for that reason, it'll be an asterisk always next to Rick Ross.
And he's lucky that pretty much that even through this whole situation, Freeway Ricky Ross kind of still was able to be successful and get interviews and turn into this big figure that he probably kind of just fell back from the whole situation and said, all right, whatever, I'm still doing my thing. So, nevertheless, I mean, like you said, that asterisk is definitely next to Rick Ross's name in that category, man. Definitely, I agree.
Yeah, man, the transition real quick, God, this is off script a little bit, but when you talked about hip hop and just the questionable antics in hip hop, it just sparked my brain and made me think about Pete Rock. Now, Pete Rock is a hip hop legend out here in the hip hop game, and he threw on his IG a caption of Tory Lanez talking about how rap is in a horrible place. Now, before I play the audio of what Tory Lanez